very interesting number of 102 participants right now, and there are several others joining. But in the interest of time, I will go ahead and get started. Yes, Toshi, so we are also live on YouTube now. Thanks a lot for confirming that. All right, great. So, hello and good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to the Heddle High annual stakeholder event. It's a lovely day here in Bangalore, and I hope all of you are doing great. My name is Anusha, and I work with Heddle High Foundation. It gives me immense pleasure to open this gathering of everyone who has played a vital role in our impact last year and who continue to be with us on our mission of empowering people and communities to live with dignity and abundance. I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to India CSR, who have partnered with us for this event today that we call Standing Together. To us, standing together means being there for our communities, our youth in the face of adversity that all of us faced in the year 2020. We want to thank all our partners who stood by us and supported us during these testing times. And together, we were able to do much more. And that wouldn't have been possible for us to do all by ourselves. While the country was in a lockdown, with the support from our partners, we were able to provide food and social security across multiple states, create linkages to employment opportunities, train youth on employability and 21st century skills, provide stimulus for social innovation by youth, and this meant standing by our people, our communities, and our youth. Standing together is a culmination of aspirations, hope, and solutioning together in the midst of adversity. And that exactly is what this event celebrates today. Let us now have a look at the year that was. Just a few highlights from our work on the ground from 2020. So we'll just shortly play the video. Okay. Now that was a very engaging snapshot of all the work that we did last year, isn't it? Once again, I would like to welcome all of you, especially the opportunity youth we work with, our esteemed panelists for today, and our ever supporting partners. Through our conversations with them today, we'll understand how the social space has evolved to match with the new normal and how we all have stood together to ensure we support our youth and our communities to meet their aspirations. We'll all share our learnings from the last year so that we all can come together again and create meaningful impact. With this, I would like to now hand over the proceedings to our host for the next session, Asha Ramesh. Asha Ramesh is a gender and development consultant with over 15 years of experience in gender, women empowerment, and women's rights. She has been a part of the National Rural Livelihood Mission, offering services as a dedicated national resource person on gender for 4 states in Northeast and to the Program on Gender Integration, PAN India. In her previous role, she was a director of Center for World Solidarity. We welcome you and thank you for joining us today, Asha ji. Over to you for the next session.
Thank you, Anuja. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome all. Yelrigu Swagata. I will start with introducing the participants that we have here first. So we have with us Shilpa, who is from Bangalore. And Shilpa was part of the Make India Capable program. हमारे साथ महानंदा है वाड़ी से, वो भी अंतरप्रेरणा कलेक्टिव में शामिल हुई थी. Then we have Baswaraj from Jalahalli, Raichur. He was also part of the Make India Capable program, focusing on career guidance. Mattanam jotegidare Vidya. Vidya Gabburu, Devadurga Taluk, Raichur district in the our social security scheme program alli idru. And lastly, we have Ashwati Venugopal from Cochin, and she was one of the 5 social innovators who was selected by the UNDP Youth Co-Lab 2020. She was part of the Social Innovation Program. So, welcome to all our partners who have been part of Head Held High Foundation and who have benefited from it. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಈಗ. ಸೊ ಶಿಲ್ಪಾ ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ತಾವು ಈ ಮೇಕ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಸೇರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಂಕ್ಷೇಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿ.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. ಹೇಳಿ ಸಂಕ್ಷೇಪದಲ್ಲಿ.
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ನಾನು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಇನ್ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ 6th ಸಮ್ ನಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ ನಂಗೆ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಗೋಲ್ಡನ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಸಿಕ್ತು ಹೆಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ ಐ. ನಂಗೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ನಂಗೆ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ನಂಗೆ ಅದು ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದೇನೋ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಬ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ಬಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಜಾಬ್ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗೆ ನಾನು ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋದ್ರು ನನ್ಗೆ ಅದೇ ತರ ಅನ್ಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನನ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ನಂಗೆ ಆಂಟರ್ಪ್ರನರ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂತ ತುಂಬಾ ಆಸೆ ಇತ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಅದು ನನ್ ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ನ ನಾನು ಯಾವ ತರ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ತುಂಬಾ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಅವಾಗ ನಂಗೆ ಹೆಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ ಐ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ನಾನು ಹೆಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ ಐ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಂಗೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ನ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಐ ಆಮ್ ಕೇಪಬಲ್ ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್ ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಶಿಲ್ಪಾ, ಈ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬಿತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇಂದ ಏನ್ ಸಹಾಯ ಸಿಕ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ?
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ನಾನು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲಾಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಫುಲ್ ಮನೇಲೇ ಇದ್ದೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಹೆಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ ಐ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಂದ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಕೊಡ್ಸಿದ್ರು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಜಾಬ್ 4 months ಇಂದ ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಜಾಬ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಈವನ್ ಇನ್ ಲಾಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಕೂಡ ನನ್ಗೆ ಜಾಬ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ತರಬೇತಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರಬೇತಿಯಿಂದ ಏನ್ ಕಲಿಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ಗೂ ಬಹಳ ಸಹಾಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಿಂದ? ಯಾವ್ದು ಒಂದು ಕಲಿಕೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಅದು ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಿರರ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ನಾವು ಡೈಲಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು half an hour ಆರ್ 15 minutes ನಾವು ಮಿರರ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಅದರಿಂದ ನನ್ಗೆ ಒಬ್ರು ಮುಂದೆ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಮುಂಚೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಅನ್ಸ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನನ್ಗೆ ಶೇಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಯಾರ ಜೊತೆಗಾದ್ರೂ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ओके, थैंक यू शिल्पा, थैंक यू। महानंदा, अभी आपसे हम कुछ प्रश्न करेंगे, तो आप थोड़ा बता सकते हैं कि ये अंतरप्रेरणा समूह से जुड़ने से पहले आपकी जिंदगी कैसी थी?
जी मैडम, जी मैम, पहले
बोलिए।
तो हम पुणे में रहते थे मैडम। फिर जी मैम, जब भी तो हम घर में ही रहते थे, सिर्फ मेरे पति ही अकेले ही कमाते थे, उनको भी उतना काम नहीं था। तो अभी पहला लॉकडाउन में काम बंद पड़ गया तो हम इधर गाँव में शिफ्ट हो गए मैम। जब भी तो घर में ही थे तो काम का भी हमको बहुत जरूरत था, तो इधर एनजीओ में ऐसा काम है, लेडीजों को देते अच्छा काम है, ऐसा मेरे सहेलियों ने मेरे लिए मदद की है मैडम इधर आके ज्वाइन होने के लिए। फिर इधर आके हमने स्टिचिंग का और हैंड एम्ब्रॉयडरी का सब सीखे मैडम।
ठीक है, अभी पिछले 1.5 साल से लगभग ये कोविड की वजह से बहुत सारी परेशानियां हुई हैं, तो इस वक्त में आप इस कोविड के समय में कैसे आपको यहाँ से सहायता मिला?
जी मैम, कोविड के टाइम पे लॉकडाउन होके भी हमको घर में ही थे, फिर भी हमको मास्क सिलने के लिए काम मिल गया मैडम। 4-5 महीने हमने मास्क बनाए मैडम, उसका इनकम तो आ गया मैडम। घर में बैठ के ही हमने काम करे मैडम।
अच्छा, अभी जो आप कमा रहे हैं, तो इससे आपके खुद के जीवन में क्या बदलाव आया और आपके परिवार के जीवन में क्या बदलाव आया?
जी मैम, पहले तो हम पैसों के लिए दूसरों पे, पति पे, माँ पे डिपेंड होते थे मैडम। अभी कुछ डिपेंड नहीं है। अभी हम हमारा खर्चा उठा सकते हैं और घर के लिए भी खर्चा उठा सकते हैं, और बच्चों के फीस के लिए और घर के भाड़े के लिए सब मदद हो गया मैडम।
ठीक है, धन्यवाद। कुछ और बताना चाहेंगे?
जी मैम, अभी इधर आके अच्छा लगा, और काम इधर आके हमको बहुत भी सीख मिल गया मैडम। पहले तो घर से बाहर भी नहीं निकलते थे, बहुत ऐसा ये होता था, क्या बोलते क्या लोग, कुछ ऐसा ये था। अभी तो कुछ डर नहीं है, अभी काम करेंगे, हमारे हिम्मत हम बहुत बढ़ गए मैडम।
धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू मैडम।
धन्यवाद। I'm going to the next participant, Baswaraj.
Yes, ma'am.
Baswaraj, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself before you actually joined the program Make India Capable? What were you doing?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Baswaraj from Jalalli, Raichur district, Devdurga Taluku. So I'm a dropout student because of financial issue in my family and family problems. We went Bangalore with my family. So we are searching in job. There is no job for us because they are asking English, spoken English, computer knowledge or experience. I don't have anything. And my friend suggested me the MIC program in Tumkur. I got 6-month program in Tumkur. So after that, within 1 week only, I got job in Bangalore. So I did 2 years work in Bangalore. After that, COVID comes. I lost my job. I came to my village, and I searching in other jobs in local only. So Triple H suggests me as a career coach. Now I'm joining as a career coach in my taluk.
Okay, so the COVID did impact you. You had
Yes,
a
ma'am.
bitter experience in the COVID scenario.
Yes.
Okay, now that you are a career coach with HHH,
Yes.
what do you do and what do you feel about the job? How has it helped you?
I'm going to teach youth for the career guidance and counseling, means their goals, their education and higher education for the students. So in this field only, I'm learning more than students, because how much I know, I can speak that much. So I'm proud of myself, and it will be helpful me.
Okay, thank you,
So
Baswaraj. Yeah.
where I took training, now I'm as a trainer. So I'm proud of Triple H and team.
All right, wonderful. Vidya, ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಮ್ಮ, ಇದು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ, ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹೇಗಿದ್ರಿ? ನಿಮ್ ಜೀವನ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು?
ಮುಂಚೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಮನೇಲೇ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದೇ ಮನೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಗೆ ಕಳ್ಸೋದು, ಮನೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಹೌಸ್ ವೈಫ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದ್ವಿ.
ಓಕೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಏನಾದ್ರು ನಿಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿತ್ತಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಸಹಾಯ ಸಿಕ್ತು ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇಂದ?
ಸಿಕ್ಕದ್ರಿ, ಸಹಾಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕದ. ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ನೋವು ಬಂದು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಸೇರಿದ್ರಿ. ಅವಾಗ ಅಪೆಂಡಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್. ಅವಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದಾಗೆ ನಮ್ ದುಡ್ಡಿನ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅವಾಗ. ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೆಲಸ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಊರಲ್ಲೇ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ಮುಂಚೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರಿ ಅವರು. ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಬಂದ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಊರಾಗೆ ಇದ್ರು. ಹಾ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ?
ಹೇಳಿ.
ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯವ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಂದಿದ್ರಿ. ಅವಾಗ ದುಡ್ಡಿನ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಯ್ತ್ರಿ. ಸರ್ಜರಿಗೆ 20,000 ಬರ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಅವ್ರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಅಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡೇ ಇರ್ತಿದಿಲ್ರಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾರುತಿ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಆಯುಷ್ಮಾನ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಿ ನಾವು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ. ಅದಕ್ಕ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ. ತಗೊಂಡೋದಾಗ ಈ ತರ ನಮ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಐತ್ರಿ, ಇದ್ರಾಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಏನ್ ದುಡ್ಡಾದ್ರೂ ಉಳಿತಾವೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗೆ. ಉಳಿತಾವಮ್ಮ, ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಖರ್ಚೆಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರಾಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾ, ತಗೊಂಬರ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಅವ್ರ ಕಾರ್ಡ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿದ್ರಿ. ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರಾಗೆ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಸರ್ಜರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ಏನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ಅದರಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಯ್ತು?
ಅನುಕೂಲ ಬಹಳ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಓಕೆ. ಈಗ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಸ್ಥ್ಯ ಎಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಎಲ್ಲ?
ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಈಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಇವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಹೌಸ್ ವೈಫ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವ್ರಿ.
ಓಕೆ, ಸರಿ. So Ashwati, hello Ashwati.
Hi.
You are a social entrepreneur, right? And you
Yes.
also have an organization called Avsar Shala.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So can you tell us something about yourself and your organization?
All right. So I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I stepped into entrepreneurship through my startup, Avsar Shala. So what we do is we are an opportunity curator for school children. So we are basically working with school kids and connecting them with opportunities such as leadership programs, competitions, scholarships, etc. We are working in that area to help them leverage their own talents and grow to become individuals who are capable of handling 21st century skills and also grow into leaders for tomorrow. So in this area, like we started out working with youth as well as school kids, but then later shifted our focus to completely school children because we realized that our intervention is required at the foundation level where, like that's where we have to interfere and bring that change while kids are growing up.
Okay. You were also, one of the top 5 social innovators who had been selected in the UNDP Youth Collab of 2020,
Yes.
Which had been incubated by HHH.
Yeah.
So what are the kind of support and, stimulus that you received during this time?
My association with Herald High has become like 6 to 7 months now. Like when I look back, the major transformation has been in the area of understanding, like really understanding social entrepreneurship. Although we all know that we are in this area, we had struggled to quantify our impact, understand what are the things that we are actually, making a difference in. So Herald High and the framework that has been, through which we have been taken through, we have realized exactly what are the areas that we should be working on within the organization as well as while we are distributing our impact throughout the society. So Herald High, Parul especially, they have been very instrumental in guiding us through this journey. And also, they have also helped us connect with good resources, mentors, interns from London Business School, etc. That has been like a momentous change in the way that we do business at Avasar Shala. So yeah, I'm very happy and thankful that we got an opportunity to work with Herald High.
Okay, that's wonderful. How did you feel the incubation support, that you received really helped in the social innovations?
So I have been part of many programs, incubation programs, webinars, etc., or rather even like off and on engagement with incubators to help us develop various aspects of the business. But when we work with Herald High, what I realize is there is a very hands-on approach. The team is very, very much available whenever we have some roadblocks. There is one or the other people who are out there to help us. Herald High has connections which help us in a way. Also, what I've realized is, they are very approachable. They are always those people with answers to all our queries. So yeah, the hands-on way in which they bring about discussions and make us think about our own solutions is something that I feel is very unique in the way Herald High incubates social enterprises. Like they don't think for us, they make us think for ourselves. So that's something that I have really appreciated in the process of their incubation. Sorry, you're on mute, Ashaji.
Sorry. Just to also ask you, how did this whole pandemic impact on you?
We were a company that started like a few months before the pandemic set in. So to be honest, we had never had a difficulty transitioning into this all virtual space. Our service has been, Avasar Shala's product and service, everything has been virtual. The way we reached out to our beneficiaries, the parents and students have drastically changed once the pandemic set in. But we've been able to think on our feet and rapidly change our model so that we were not very much hit by the pandemic situation. All virtual businesses and all the edtech companies have innovated themselves, and we were also lucky to have made that change quickly. And there are many such, environments. Herald High also created one such for us to understand exactly how we should progress from here. So we were safe.
Okay. I'm supposed to do a quick translation for at least a few people. Vidya, nimge yeno artha agirallala? Yen helidru artha aita? ನೀವು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೈಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಹಾ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಬರಲ್ಲಲ್ರಿ,
ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ವಾ? ಸರಿ, ಇವರು ಕೊಚ್ಚಿನಿಂದ ಇದು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇತ್ತು UNDP ದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರು ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇವ್ರದೇ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಇದೆ ಅವಸರ್ ಶಾಲಾ ಅಂತ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇವ್ರದ್ದು ಈ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಬಹಳ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ HHS ಇಂದ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ, ಬಹಳ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಸಿಕ್ಕಿತ್ತು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಬಹಳ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅದೊಂಥರ ಸಂಕ್ಷೇಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಶಿಲ್ಪಾ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್. महानंदा, आप समझ गए?
हाँ, समझ गए मैडम।
समझ गए नहीं? ठीक है, तो बाकी सब लोग समझ गए हैं. I hope everybody understood what was said in Kannada. Shilpa actually mentioned that sort of she could not continue her education, and then she got the support from HHH, and that really sort of helped her to move forward and get a job. So she has sort of become economically independent. So that's been very useful for her. As far as Vidya goes, Vidya actually got the facility of Social Security. HHH helped her to get the Ayushman Bharat card, and she was having some stomach problems, and that was identified as appendicitis. She had to undergo an operation. where she incurred expenditure to the tune of about 30,000. And because she was helped to get this Ayushman Bharat card, she was able to get the reimbursement. So that really helped her economically, because they are very poor families, and she doesn't work. Her husband is the only earning member, so it was a great help. I think what Mahananda Bhandari said, I'm sure everybody must have understood, because she said it in Hindi. So I don't think I need to translate that. And just to kind of sum up, that all the 5 who sort of shared their life experience of association with the HHH have really expressed that it really was a catalyst in their lives. It helped them to become economically independent. It helped them to gain a lot of confidence. It helped them to secure benefits that the government has, but often you're not able to secure it easily. So that support was provided by HHH. And also people like Mahananda, they have been able to start small entrepreneurship and generate income for their families. So this certainly has helped herself and the family. And people like Shilpa felt that they have become very, very confident, and she always felt that she wanted to learn and be able to speak English. And she feels very, very thankful that this entire journey with HHH has helped her to gain that confidence and to also be able to speak English to some level. Baswaraj, who was a dropout, has also managed to secure the kind of career that he wanted to do. And he's there as part of HHH right now, and feels very proud that he is able to, graduate from being somebody who was learning, a trainee, into becoming a trainer. So that has been a very useful journey for him. So the experiences of all these people, and also the way they tried to overcome the last 1.5 years, which has really been very, very challenging because of the pandemic. But despite the pandemic looming large, and it continues to be so in some ways, these 5 have really, with the support of HHH, have been able to overcome the various challenges that they were being faced despite the pandemic situation, and have been able to, ground themselves and move on in their lives in the ways that they want to. And perhaps as they go along, they will even improve further. And I believe that their association with the HHH will continue, because perhaps this is how the family from the organization into the community, into the society, that connect will continue to remain. And of course, Ashwati is sort of really moving on, having established international links. So she also will be able to provide, and I'm sure contribute to HHH her own insights, though she has got the support and was able to launch with HHH's support. But I'm sure at some point of time she will be able to very productively contribute to the organization's initiative in really transforming the lives of people, particularly the most underprivileged sections and the youth, and especially women are the ones who face the brunt in every endeavor that they try to do. So I think with that, I will close what I have to say. And at this point, I would like to introduce Mr. Madan Padki, who will be taking on the next session, because there's going to be a panel discussion that's going to take place. So Mr. Madan Padki, he is the founder and the CEO of OneBridge, and he is the managing trustee of Head Held High Foundation. So I think we have moved a little fast. So can I pass on the session to you, Mr. Madan?
Thank you, Ashaji. Thanks for steering a wonderful reflection session with everybody. Basavaraj Aure, Vidya Aure, Shilpa Aure, Ashwati, and Mahananda Aure, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to work with you, to support you, and to learn from you. It's truly stories like this that make our day and keep us going. So thank you for being a part of our lives and allowing us to be a part of your lives. Really appreciate it. And on this occasion, to all of our dedicated team of trainers, transformation agents, etc., wishing everybody a very, very happy Guru Purnima. I think we couldn't have chosen a more appropriate day to share our thoughts and ideas with all of you. As introduced by Ashaji, my name is Madan Padki. I'm one of the co-founders and the current managing trustee at Head Held High Foundation. When Sunil Savara, Rajesh Bhatt, and I, who co-founded Head Held High Foundation almost 12 years ago, in fact, formally as a foundation, we complete 10 years this year. Well, we had a lot of dreams and aspirations and ambitions. I don't think we could ever imagine that the journey will go through these paths the way that we have been through. And there'll be so much of richness of experiences, of love, and of sharing various learnings within Head Held High and outside. And it's been truly an enriching journey. So, to all of our trustees, folks, our people within Head Held High, and more importantly as well, our partners who stayed with us all through these years, a big, basket of gratitude from my side for being a part of our journey. With this, I want to kind of shift gears and move to the conversation around the whole theme of standing together. But before that, as a snapshot of the journey that we've had, just to set the context a bit more better, I wanted to share a couple of slides before we move into the conversation in terms of talking about the broader theory of change as well as what inspires us and what motivates us before as a setup to the conversation at the panel that we have. So let me just share my screen. Yeah. Yes, I hope you can see this. And I just pulled up a quick image from the web. I wanted to make sure that we reiterate to ourselves where the name Head Held High came from. As we're walking around in the lawns of Sunil's house and thinking about what should be the name, somewhere Guru Rabindranath Tagore's poem, this immortal poem, flashed across our minds, and suddenly we said, what we are trying to do is this. This is our lodestar. This is our the raison d'être on why we exist, right? This poem summarizes everything that we need to do, right? Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. This poem continues to inspire us every day, and it's only appropriate that we called ourselves as the Head Held High Foundation. And, in everything we do, we take this as our golden standard to say, are we doing everything within and in the communities that we work, where we can measure ourselves up against this gold standard of, is this the way of being, right? And I'm very, very glad to share that, this mission has delivered so much of peace, tranquility, and a sense of purpose to me that this was the origination of my journey into the space. And I kind of thank my stars and count my blessings every day for being a part of this mission. In this context is how we framed the programs. In my visualization, I visualize every youth, especially nowadays when there's a rush to the space, so much so that we might have space jams instead of traffic jams, with Bezos and Musk and Branson blasting away into space. In the world of Head Held High, we view every youth that we work with, every individual that you saw, as a rocket that can lift off to the space. But there are several forces that prevent this rocket from taking off. It could be their own family conditions, the poverty of the family that prevents a person from rising high. It could be a lack of career choices or a lack of understanding of what the future will be and what their role is. It could be the lack of a capability. And we don't call ourselves as training, we call ourselves transformation, which happens in the mindset. So how do you unleash and unlock that capability? It could be that, fine, I've got the capability, what do I do? Where do I study further? Where do I go get a job? How do I become an entrepreneur? So how do you create and unlock these capabilities into economic opportunities? And finally, how do you navigate these economic opportunities into a good for the community? So how can you create more place-based economic models where there can be local opportunities created? And how do you leverage these passionate entrepreneurial youth to serve the cause of the society by being change makers, right? And that's the whole theory of change that we work with, where so this is kind of I've taken a snapshot from our annual report, which we'll also release shortly. And the idea is that if we can operate through partnerships into a variety of these interventions, right? How do you do a family poverty assessment and eradication plan? What kind of social security systems can we bring? What kind of course, youth transformation, which has been the mainstay of what we do at Head Held High. How do you provide access to economic pathways? And how do you continuously handhold our youth? So it's just not a training program, it is a continuous handholding and an alumni support that we do to make sure that they're able to build up their financial and social equity over a period of time. And how do you continuously create more place-based opportunities and spur them to look at social innovation and look at amplifying the impact of change makers? It seems like a lot to do, but interestingly, on the ground through our community resource centers and through our transformation centers, we've been able to galvanize a variety of local partners who've been able to come together to work at the community level with all of these initiatives. And we've also been very fortunate to get a very rich, diverse set of national, statewide partners who are able to bring these learnings to us, right? And this has been the snapshot of our journey the last year. And now we are in 18 states. We've covered about 25% of the aspirational districts. We're active in about 50 plus districts. Passionate team of around 100 odd people. We've touched about 1 lakh youth last year and did about 4 entrepreneur collectives. The statistic that warms my heart are 2 things. One is that a large percentage of the people we touch are women. And at Herald High, almost 70% of our batch are women in the batches. And a large part of the work we do with entrepreneurs are largely women entrepreneurs. In fact, a couple of weeks ago at Wadi, we launched a cohort of just women entrepreneurs as our first experiment to look at a cohort-based approach to creating digital women entrepreneurs. So I think that is that's something that I'm very proud of. And the other part is that we've been able to really transform the family, both from a social security angle as well as the income. We've been able to do a 3.7x increase in the family income just by lifting one youth into the capability realm and creating economic opportunities there. So that's a massive shift, and that changes families forever. Right. So we will, I'm sure as we share the report with you, you will find more details about this. And needless to say, I mean, it takes, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It definitely takes a lot of partners coming together to make all of these things happen. And I would want to, share on behalf of all of us our immense gratitude for each of the partners to have been with us, to have shared their learnings, experiences, and resources with us to make all of these things happen. So I just wanted to frame this as a context before we jumped into the conversation with a very interesting panel on this whole theme of what does it take to stand together? What have we learned in the COVID world, where it brought home 2 very disparate forces. One is that we had to collaborate. We were forced to collaborate. We realized that collaboration is the only way that we can fight this together. But we also had to do it remotely. Travel was virtually stopped. There was no way that we could say, hey, let me come over, sit with you, but we had to do it all virtually. And it's amazing how all of us have adapted to this new normal by collaborating not only more. So I did a quick poll amongst several folks a couple of weeks ago in another context, and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, have you collaborated more or less from what you did last year? Almost overwhelmingly, 85% of the people I spoke to said we've had a far more collaborative year than we've ever had in the past. Right? And I salute that because as Winston Churchill once famously said, never let a crisis go to waste. I think COVID was a crisis that came our way, and I think a lot of us have responded very positively by accelerating our own collaborative efforts. So in that context, I'm delighted to welcome our panelists. First of all, thank you to each one of you for taking off time on a Saturday afternoon and being with us. Delighted to welcome Kanta Singh from UN Women. Welcome, Kanta. Anish from Transforming Rural India. Vivek Prakash ji from Jubilant. Thank you, Vivek, for being with us. Subhash Kuntia ji, we're very fortunate to have Subhash ji join us on the board of advisors and trustees of Herald High Foundation recently. Subhash ji was the former chief secretary of Karnataka and recently retired as the chairman of IRDA. So thank you, Subhash ji, for being with us. And Shrikant Sinha, CEO of TASK, the Telangana Academy of Skills and Knowledge. Welcome, Shrikant. Thank you for being with us. and a dear friend and a colleague, Lalita Sachdeva, Head of Strategic Partnerships at UNICEF and YUVA. And YUVA is all about the power of collaboration and bringing the ecosystem together. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I want to kickstart this conversation by requesting each of you to kind of reflect on the year gone by in your own spaces of work and reflect on what did standing together mean, right? How did you see collaboration happening, and what were the learnings? What were your reflections? And what does that, how does that change the way the world will change for you going forward, especially around the spaces that we are very, very passionate about, the whole capability building, entrepreneurship development, and the larger ambit of poverty eradication. So can I request, let's say we can start off with Kanta, with you. I know you also have to step off a little earlier.
Yeah.
But it'll be lovely to have you kickstart this.
Thank you, Madan, and thank you for inviting me. I think it has become a routine now. I am there on your panel and you are there on ours. So hum badlav utate rehte hain, then the collaboration starts here. Ek baar aap aaye, ek baar hum aayenge. So good afternoon, everyone. Asha, if you are around, thank you. Great to see you. Asha and I have known each other for very long. So last year, when COVID-19 cases started building up, Madan, I was really thinking that it will be over in a month or two, and I think all of us were thinking like that. We were not prepared for what was coming ahead, particularly people like us who work in the field, who work with women. I think we were really not up to it. In fact, but as the months passed, we realized that it is not safe to ask women to come and start attending classes or training programs or also working in the field. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised that we underestimated them, because their grit, their determination, their demands for services, their demand for quality service from us actually forced us to change gear. That was very nice, because our program, particularly where we were working, these were the most marginalized districts. But within those marginalized districts, fortunately, during the first wave, the cases were not those many. So they continued to work in the field, even though from UN side, we were not allowed to travel at all. We still are not allowed to travel to the field. But at our level, we shifted the strategy, or we changed the strategy to work differently. But women continued to go to the field. Only during lockdown, when there was complete nationwide lockdown, that they didn't work or they didn't go. From our side, we changed many things. We started the online monitoring system. Every Thursday afternoon, we would devote 2.5 hours to 2 districts. We will hear from them. We will understand what their challenges were. We started having a weekly meeting with our implementation partners. We started having team meetings more regularly. We also changed our monitoring tools and also reporting tools to suit what was possible during that time. So a number of things changed for us, but we were surprised that women gave us better results. In the agriculture, on-farm and off-farm activities, women continued to work despite the challenges that they were facing. More and more women came forward to study. You'll be surprised, in the most backward districts of Bihar or Odisha, we had almost 4,000 women enrolled on NIUS. So we were shocked. Only thing that I would say that we couldn't deliver was on employment, skilling and employment. And that was primarily because we had not catered for funds for doing our own training, domain training. That's what I'm talking about. We were relying on the government systems, and government systems didn't work at that time. So that is where we saw some setback, I would say. But we then, one thing that you're talking about collaboration, and I always believed in collaboration because maybe I understand my limitations. I know I can't do everything myself. I also don't know everything. So that's part of the way we work. And I was also part of a network where Asha was also a life member, because we realized together we can do much more. That's how we reached out to people like you, HHH. We brought in X Billion Labs, we brought in PNB Housing Finance, we brought in Alter Ego, we brought in Tata Strive, we brought in many partners who we were not funding. In fact, we were leveraging your resources for our women. And I think in a normal project and our project, that is the only difference I can say. Because we believe that without you, people like you, we would not be able to do it. So I'm a holder in that sense. I believe in bringing people together and kind of align our priorities, align our work, find synergies in what we can do. So that has given us great results. I wanted to share with everyone that day before we got the best team award globally in UN Women. Yeah. So, and I think it's all because we thought differently. We thought of innovative finance. We thought of cost sharing. We thought of, leveraging as money, resources, human resources from each other, and technical resources. So I'm a firm believer that together we can achieve much more. I'll come back again, let other people speak. Thank you.
Wonderful. Kanta, thank you so much. And that's a very, very well-deserved recognition. At least our experience of working with you and your team has been fantastic. The kind of commitment and the passion that you guys work with is hats off. Terrific. We will, I think you touched upon some very interesting points, and I want to take that to another person who's been a terrific collaborator from a long time with me, Herald High, and everything that we do. Anish is, for all practical purposes, truly the son of the soil. He's been on the field, experiencing development, seeing all the frustrations and the challenges and the highs of being on the field. So Anish, thank you, and love to get your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Madan. And first, very happy Guru Purnima. This is, Guru Purnima acknowledges wisdom and knowledge. The 5 inspiration slices that Ashaji you brought together, Vidya, Shilpa, Mahananda, Vasuraj, beautifully captures the teaching and what is required for our times. It gives a panoramic view of Herald High associations. In some ways, you have made the new normal one, which I keep saying, one of, wow, that's window to opportunity world. And that's of dignity and abundance, Madan, that you keep talking more and more. Gurudev inspiration, this is one of my faves. So I knew about Triple H inspiration there, and in many ways it is truly India's lodestar. So you at Herald High hold that soul food of India, and in these times you have enormous responsibility. And I know you're very capable soldiers would handle that. Last year I was here, and it has always been so much inspiration, the can-do-ness, Triple H team. I just wonder, how do you get so much of energy? And in some way, this is like that Red Bull shot. Yes, with little bit of lower taurine for that radiating care, love, and empathy. Taurine is that, which gets you on, bull high. There can't be any dignity or abundance without shared love, solidarity, and accepting, intertwining of our collective faiths. And in these ways, standing together holds that essence. It's a beautiful and powerful thought. And so thank you very much for getting us together to reflect together on this. All of us experienced pain, the personal became societal.
Yeah.
And we have witnessed among the rich and poor a deeper commitment to, our shared humanity and our one planet. So you will see those issues of ecology and regeneration, taking prominence. Well, the pre-COVID inequality K-hands have become wider now, and that could be the Oxfam numbers are scary, but so has increased giving and increased sharing and care. So the SDG call of living in my mind is the essence of standing together, everyone rising, not just with the rising tide, but beyond the tide, it in a more enduring, in a more regenerative, growing way. Last year, the words that defined the year for me was one of humility, agony, and creativity. We learned to manage diverse competing demands on our hearts and mind, and they didn't, always go in symphony and in tandem. Our professional and personal lives, and both in our communities, became about health and economic security. Never before there was more demand on congruence of out there, that's the work that we do, with in here, that's in the organization. And COVID care in communities and in our own lives, this whole congruence between thinking, feeling, and action, the TFA congruence, to get some sort of a integrity in our selves became very important. I'm sure the people who coined VUCA in 87 didn't think of the pandemic. And so did, interestingly, I found that we did use NDMA to handle COVID. The National Disaster Management Act, the disaster definition actually doesn't cover pandemic. So the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity of our times defines this new normal. It's not so much of a mystery that how we have survived. We have survived the lockdowns, the fear, pains of losing loved ones, with many helping hands. Someone checking on you, you checked on me, Madan. So, and together we held fast, and hopefully, with enough strength, we'll go past this raging silent inferno, which is so visible in the crematoriums and our cemeteries. My favorite self-cue, and actually you use that, Madan, has been count your blessings. Every day as you live through, you realize you have been so lucky and blessed. And that wouldn't happen without all of us. It wouldn't have been, we have to celebrate standing together. And in standing together, it's not becoming that crowd, but standing for each other. While individually, someone like me, as you referred to, Madan, I have that fielditis. I am 10, 15 days in the field. And that's where I am at my peaceable best in communities and with colleagues. So now with multiple comorbidities, it took me longer to recover from COVID, and there are restrictions to freely move. It has taken toll on me. I am on more pills to calm the new normal physiology. It has made my physiological self also different. What has been gratifying is how TRIF as an organization, more than as an individual, and I looked at as a source of strength, coped with the crisis. Colleagues in the field gave us so much of inspiration. New friends we made, we became part of new coalitions. You are absolutely right. And you put us on the COVID Action Collab. We became part of the Co-Live Collective, Samudyam Collective. New engagements, again, you are instrumental in more ways than one. With Yuva happened. On 1st April, and it was a good Fool's Day, we lost 2 grants. And those were committed grants. But by then we had more energy. We had started a little early on COVID, and we had put restrictions in the organization. Delhi had earlier lockdown than what Mr. Modi did. And by then, with more energy, we had plunged headlong into relief and restoration. We got our own, import-export license for ourselves at TRI, worked up the supply chain to procure protection gear, testing kits from anywhere on the planet, worked the mobile lines to secure funding. We have raised close to 75 crores and have committed to ourselves to begin with. that no one in our geographies will go hungry, will die because of inadequacy of healthcare. And we had later mounted a massive program to support migrants. So overall, our book size increased, 6 new partners, donor I am speaking about. So standing together, we contributed and blessings poured in. There couldn't be a more fitting, note on which you have put this conversation today. It also means deepening collaboratives. With Triple H, we launched a digital platform for youth in Ramgarh, which in you say that with much more flourish, Madan, ensuring no youth is left behind. So that's what we are trying to do. 250,000 young people in Ramgarh to have access to career guidance and counseling. This is on. This is implemented in partnership with the local institutions and youth hubs across the district. The Make in India Capable program, we had a glimpse right now, has been launched now in all our geographies. And the youth from lower literacy, we had a glimpse of that, have embarked on the new normal of employment and entrepreneurship pathways. We have set with Western Union a corporate mentorship program, which is connecting corporate employees to volunteer time with rural youth, providing mentoring and counseling. And in what I gathered in the glimpses was in helping rural youth secure dignity and abundance. And that is through those 4 E's, as we say: entitlement, employability, enterprises, and education. Few things are clear for the new normal. We will need the threads of standing together to become more stronger ropes actually. And the tri-sector of society, state, markets, the Bajar, Samaj, Sarkar needs to come together more than ever and more thickly. Last year at TRI, we used the time in different ways to become more productive. We had institutional review. We have come up with a new strategy document. We have put that in the public domain for feedback. And as Ashwati put it, to get us all in the safe zone. We have, another very interesting reflection we had at TRI, and our work with village communities was around the power of neighborhoods and locality compacts. We have developed an entire set of protocol around that. This is, a compact comprising of, at one end of the tripod is the women collectives and the other community-based organizations. It could be forest protection committees, the FPOs. The other end of the tripod comprises of panchayats and the block level Janpad committees. And the third leg, which is something which we found with many tailwinds now, the frontline local administration. For health, it could be Asha, Anganwadi, A&M. For education, it could be the local school teacher. For rural infrastructure, it could be the junior engineer there. And the experience during COVID across the country have showed that we have to take charge of our lives. That's the only sure way of shaping our destinies and getting to the destination of justice and equality for all. The new normal will have massive technology play. It is visible already. It is becoming more and more visible. And with Bezos now going to space, Musk making plans of going on Mars, it will become more and more important. But so will become the appreciation of the power of community and localities to lead their own ways. And that's where we would see much more traction in our own organization. And we see more and more partnerships with your entire spectrum of organizations that you are involved with, Triple H, One Bridge. So we have youth hubs in many places. Then we have this, the program on youth hubs is what we call Me4EY, that is migrant education, employability, enterprise, and entitlements with youth. The other program that we have now again replicated, the Ramgarh the Opportunity Youth Collective in Barwani in Madhya Pradesh. And the third one will be about locality. That's how we have pivoted in the last year to become more meaningful, productive, and relevant for our communities. So that's how we are standing together, Madan, and I will stop here and thank you very much for this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Anish. That was such a panoramic view that you presented and so eloquently. I love the way you said about socially distanced yet standing together, and therefore the threads have to be even more stronger. Wonderful thought. Lots of takeaways. I'll string it back into some reflections as we go along. But with that, let me move to our other distinguished panelist and a very dear partner as well, Vivek. From it'll be interesting to see the perspective that you have coming in from the corporate side, of working closely with a bunch of partners and navigating through these times.
Thank you, Madan. So I think this is a time when, in fact, this is the right time to discuss about what we learned in the last 1 year, 1.5 years. And then what is next? Because we cannot say that during pandemic we lost everything, or we faced all these things that we are facing. But we have to, in fact, plan for the future. So how to make our future safe, and especially youth who are the future of this country. So how to make them capable. So let me first start with, in fact, our partnership. I'm part of, no doubt, I'm part of a corporate CSR, but again, I'm from this development sector only. So from the beginning of my career, I'm with this in this sector only. So earlier I was with Ambuja Cement Foundation, and then I joined this Jubilant Bhartiya Group, and I founded. In fact, I am the founder of this foundation, which is conceptualizing and implementing CSR for the group. So we are partnering with many organizations. So like HHS is one of the best partnership which in fact I experienced during this my life, when actually the concept which you come up, the concept is very fine, very good. And but again, I think there are some requirement of refinement in this entire initiative. Like last year when pandemic came, the Make India Capable program was on stake, because at many places government was not allowing, even society was not allowing, even we cannot allow to run such program. But what is next? So how to make it more successful? So but again, I realized, this is my personal experience, so I will explain you, because when I was listening the first speaker, in fact Kantaji, in fact when I think she has spoken, in fact this is for all of us, that this pandemic has given a very good learning, and this entire pandemic has given a lot of burden also on women. But again, only due to their efforts, we are surviving. This is also a fact, because the workload, not only on domestic part, but on keeping the family intact and feed them, this entire burden was on them. And that I experienced. And the best part was, there are some projects which we did last year that is giving a lot of learning. In fact, this is for all. So I'm just giving you one project. I think you all will love to share it, and then there is some learning into this. So when this entire pandemic started, that time we realized that we have a product. It's called Herbal Choline. So it's a herbal product. So we are making a liver tonic kind of thing for animal, under animal nutrition. And the neem powder is a base material for that. So this is the story. The story started from here. Then the supply chain was facing issues in getting that supply of that neem leaves powder. Then I realized we are having more than 100 SHG across the in fact foundation. So in different states, but this product is especially in Gujarat. Then I told my coordinator, we discussed why not to access our SHG to do some work on this. He started discussion with our SHG groups. Their group, in fact, during pandemic, you won't believe, during pandemic, they become ready to work with for this project. They told that, okay, sir, we will do this. And so we were waiting for such opportunity. I think we can do this. And you won't believe, during pandemic, they started just like Amul dairy collection. They have formed a collection center for neem leaves. They are drying it. They are sending it at one place. And one group, it is called VO, Village Organization, so Federation of SHG. They established a pulverization unit, which is required in the pharmaceutical sector. So SS make machine. We also supported them a little bit of funding, but they created everything. And now you won't believe, not only this running this pulverization unit, but the collection unit also, more than 250 women are getting livelihood out of it. During pandemic, they created this. Then it has realized us that, okay, it means there are some power and we have to collaborate with those power center. Otherwise, we will lose, impact everything. And then you won't believe, in the last 1 year, this is my learning. This is my learning, and we have changed our entire CSR project. And now we are going towards empowering the community part only. So we have a Swasthya Sakhi, Swasthya Prahari, who is taking care of health. They are just like ASHA worker in the villages. So they are taking care of, and then we launched last year this, it's called Jubi Care, a telemedicine platform. So among them, few of them will take up this also as telemedicine part. But they are taking care of health of each and every child and pregnant woman in the villages. So this is one thing. So that again, Swasthya Sakhi. Then again, for livelihood, we have two projects. One is Pasu Sakhi, that is, we are working with the Goat Trust. It's a Lucknow-based social enterprise and working with ultra poor. So we are partners. So those Pasu Sakhi are working with ultra poor of the community for the goatery, and then and they're also working on this market linkage for the goat. Then again, we have also launched a new project, that is Paryavaran Sakhi. Then again, because this we realized that this only neem collection and sending is not important, but we have to in fact grow a lot of neem trees in this society, so that we can access more neem. So we are partnering with Panchayat, but again, the Paryavaran Sakhi, they will take care of trees. So each Paryavaran Sakhi will get up to 2 years, they will get a stipend to protect at least 300 trees. And after 2 years, they will start getting earning out of it. So again, this is an entrepreneurship project. But so they are entrepreneur, micro entrepreneur at village level. So they have to just protect the trees up to 2 to 3 years, and then they will start earning out of it. So we are visualizing that after 3 years, more than 1,000 women will get sustained livelihood out of it. So they will protect the environment, and they will. So this is another, in fact, you can say. So now we are believing in empowering community, and I think that collaboration is required. So you have to collaborate with the community group, community youth, and community leaders, and that is the key for the success. Otherwise, if we are having any induction program which we are designing and coming to the villages, it will not work. It should come from the villages. That will success only. No doubt, the knowledge which you are bringing, your organization is bringing, many other organizations bringing, that should also be inducted into that. But we should believe in the community and then support them a little bit, so that they can make a sustainable society. I think this is the key for this. Now I will take another 1 minute. What is future then? Because a lot of youth, we realized during this period, a lot of youth have. So for HHH also, last year, we completed our project, but we have not done a new project because we couldn't do this. But on agriculture side, you can do a lot of activities. That's why we shifted our entire efforts, money, everything to agriculture projects. So where we are creating orchard Wadi project, you can say, in the field of farmers. So a lot of migrant worker got job in their own village. And there was some scheme also, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, and some other schemes also, through which they got, in fact, labor support. The farmers got labor support. We supported technical and sapling support and fertilizer support to in fact create those orchards. So again, this will create a lot of income for them after 2 to 3 years when this fruiting will start. But they will continue their agriculture also. So there are some innovation also we did. We customized our project according to the requirement. But what is future? What is next? I think the youth who have come, few of them have returned back to villages. Out of that, around 50% have again gone back to cities. You see the Mumbai, last week I was in Mumbai, Pune, in Gujarat also. I'm living in Noida, so that's why I'm seeing the Delhi scenario also. So around 50% have returned, but 50% are still in the villages. What is next? So I think this is an opportunity for us to again capitalize their experience, their knowledge, and then make them part of this country's development. I think here your role is very much important. So we need to capitalize their experience and knowledge. So I think if we can create, so there is a Naukri.com for many, in fact, for literate youth or the educated people. But then there were some social enterprise like Baba Jobs.com, but they have looted this society. I think we need a genuine organization who can conduct, just like Anis was explaining, that career counseling part in the villages, and then the profiling of youth on the digital platform, and then according to their requirement, we should come up with them for the skill and entrepreneurs, but made an entrepreneurship, because they are already having a skill. But if we will give them some entrepreneurial inputs, I think they can bring a lot of change in the society. So this is from my side. I think we have to think, we have to conduct such more sessions on discussion, and then we have to come up within 4 or 5 months. Otherwise, we will be late again. Right. So that we have to think how to retain those youth in the villages, right, give them some knowledge, and then make them more productive for the society. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beautifully said, Vivek. Thank you so much. I think that whole aspect of standing together with the community, creating local opportunities, and integrating various ecosystems. I love the example that you shared of bringing together various partners to kind of create a comprehensive development plan at the village level itself. And you make a very pertinent point that, you know, we've got hit once, we've struggled, we've learned a lot of lessons. Let us prepare well for the future and kind of reinvent many of the things that we had taken for granted, so that we can rise ourselves to the next level, right? So thank you for sharing this. Let me bring in now Lalita. Lalita heads partnerships, and you are able to see all of this and more at the role that you play at UNICEF. So Lalita, will be great to get your thoughts, and then I will get in Srikanth to speak from a state angle. And Subhash, given your wide perspective across several forums, I really want you to take a bird's eye view of everything that everybody has said and try and stitch it together towards the end. So with that, let me, Lalita, bring you in and have you share your experiences, especially with Yuva, where we are trying to build the future of the collaborative platforms like what we're attempting to build there.
Thank you, Madan, and congratulations to all of you at Head High for the 10 years, the great work. I think for us, the pandemic meant probably a lot of things also, because we were literally in our infancy when the pandemic hit. We were launched in 2019, and as Yuva, at least, the team was really coming together only around by April. By the time last year, the pandemic had already hit. I would say I would have a mixed reaction. While yes, partners learned to be more collaborative, we all sort of jumped into action and reprioritized and started looking at solutions immediately. But we also obviously we also all knew there were challenges around it, and understanding the actual challenge in the field was always a challenge, especially in the first lockdown when you couldn't reach, you couldn't be at community. Any surveys we did with young people to try and understand what they were going through were still reaching only the digitally connected. because that was the only way to be able to do it. So there were some of those challenges that came in. But having said that, I think the power of really bringing partners together, whether it was private sector bringing in their resources, their technical expertise, whether it was government looking for newer solutions, whether it was civil society, an organization like Head Held High, TRIF, who've been working on the ground, everybody willing to come across and really look for finding solutions and sort of saying, immediately, let's really look at least some of these opportunities was high. And I don't think we've really ever seen that in terms of, and what Kanta also talked about, in terms of really being able to, being willing to leverage each other's resources and get together to find solutions became a high priority for everyone. A lot of our focuses, I think, went very automatically on digital as well, because that was at that point the best way to connect. But I think we learned a lot in the process. And while I guess we all kept reading about how it's contributing to the digital divide, how we're creating another barrier as well, especially from young people that we work with at UVA, because for us, we are really working on bridging aspirations of young people and market needs together, right? I mean, we're really trying to look at the partner ecosystem to bring these two things to core and really find a match for these. And make sure everything that we do in between in terms of training, skilling, education, jobs, entrepreneurship fits into and really aligns to these two needs as well. I think but I also feel in the second wave, when it hit us, we learned a lot from it. We saw young people take a lot more action. While in the first pandemic, we heard a lot about young people going through problems. Of course, we had migration crisis, we had lots of other issues. There were talks about jobs, around mental health, around domestic violence. A lot of it was really very problem oriented. By the time the second wave hit, our resilience levels were certainly much higher when we started hearing so many stories of young people coming together, being the absolute source of authentic information that might be needed, gathering information online, making calls, getting together as a group, really helping their local communities. All of that really increased. And for us, we saw that all come together in a campaign that we sort of started too. And we saw how easy how our learnings from last year really resulted in great results this year, when we got government, Ministry of Youth Affairs, Ministry of Health, and then calling in other ministries to join in, CBSE, AICTE, UGC, everybody come together really to sort of say, let's work with young people as change makers. Let's make sure they have genuine information around COVID appropriate behavior and COVID. Let's make them really query for information and share resources with them and let them champion it too, because the only way for us to really sustainably not get into that situation again is going to be this. And that is the power, I guess, we've been learning of collaborating on. And I'm hoping as we progress, we just get better at it, because we do need to find solutions that reach each and every young person. We do need to make sure that solutions like the work that you're doing at Head Held High, what Vivek talked about, what Anish talked about, learnings from all of this comes into program designs across the all spectrum of stakeholders to really not have to reinvent, not have to waste resources in learning it again, but really build on those learnings so that we can actually really make a larger impact, because that clearly came out as a huge need. That clearly is a huge need and rally cry we hear from young people today. That I think we hear even from industry today in terms of what they need in terms of resources and trained manpower. That is what we hear, I guess, that is what we need as an economy too, but that is what I felt we also need as human beings. The very fact that young people are really willing to take charge, take care of each other, the humanity that we've seen come together in the second wave is something that we need extensively as well as a country. So that cannot be achieved if we don't come together as partners. If we, all of us, whether it's government, whether it is organizations like Head Held High and TRIF who are working on the ground and many more, whether it is private sector, if we all don't come together and make sure that young people are equipped with skills, yes, for jobs and entrepreneurship, but also with empathy, and confidence to be able to really be ready for the future, to be able to create the future that all of us would love to live in. We all need to come together, and we've seen beautiful examples of it. We've seen ambitious projects come out of it as well, that are really some things that we're really looking forward to work on, whether it is in the space of education, where the government is looking at the entire digital infrastructure and connectivity, whether it is for young people, where we're working with a few partners to again create a stronger infrastructure and say how it comes together, or whether it is really with young people themselves as well, where they're willing to rally together. That has been a great shift. We would have reached there probably 5 years from now. And I think the pandemic sort of made us reinvent ourselves, made us rethink our priorities, and clearly did not leave us a choice to reinvent ourselves as well in many ways. And it just does feel proud that all of us have come out resilient, and I hope we can, in this resilience, make sure we are most inclusive and can get also a lot of other people who did not have the opportunity to be as resilient as all of us.
Terrific. Thank you, Lalita. I think you brought out two critical points, that at UI, it was all about putting the young people at the center and understanding what they want to do. In fact, a lot of the initiatives that we did there is actually driven by ideas and initiatives that came from there. You also highlighted the fact that it's been a far more conducive environment to work with governments, especially during the last 1 year, when we've seen a lot more enthusiasm and openness to try out a variety of newer initiatives. And the Young Warrior initiative that you talked about has been a phenomenal experience to kind of galvanize various departments to work together, ministries to work together. So on that note, I would love to bring in Shrikant, from the vantage point where you operate as the CEO of the Telangana Academy of Skills and Knowledge. You've been, in a sense, an outsider coming into the government system, though you have engaged with government systems very, very deeply in your previous roles. Love to understand your perspective of how the last 1 year has been, and the various collaborative initiatives that you've seen, and how do you think your own perspectives and tasks perspectives would have changed due to the situation that we are in.
Thanks, Madan, and congratulations on completing the decade at Adult High. Wonderful initiative, and of course, I've been appreciating it a lot all throughout. I think if I look at the last 1 year, I think, and what has changed and what exactly things are happening. First of all, as you rightly said, an opportunity or a crisis is something which you should never let go of. And that's what happened. Having been in the field of online education for about 2.5 decades, I think what was music to my ears was the change, the way everyone, including traditional college professors, etc., adapted to technology. And not only adapt to technology, I think there is a differentiation which I'd like to make here. Earlier, when we said e-learning, it used to be, scans of books that are put online, and that was called as e-learning. But now, if you see during the pandemic, the whole thing is how facilitation can be done, how resources can be provided to the students apart from whatever is being taught. So initially, of course, the people were, the backs were facing towards the camera while they were jotting something on the board, but that quickly changed, and you had people actually moving from a teacher to a facilitator, from a sage on the stage to a guide on the side. So that is the very first thing that you see that has happened, due to this pandemic. Second thing is, I think what everyone has been repeating, I would like to repeat it as a African proverb which says, if you want to go far, right, go fast, sorry, you go alone. If you want to go far, walk together. And that's what is happening right now. It's the age of collaboration. Everyone should be collaborating with someone. Your core competencies are the areas that you should focus on. Whatever doesn't belong to your core competencies, you should actually collaborate with someone and take it forward. From a state perspective, if I look at it, TASK fortunately has been in the game of collaborating with a lot of partners for a very, very long time. And right now, if I look at it, we have about 40+ partners, large corporate partners like Microsoft, Salesforce, Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Cisco, etc., just to name a few, who have been providing us training so that our students, the youth, about 3 lakh roughly youth that graduate every year from the various colleges in Telangana, so that we are able to reach out to them and provide them with input so that they can get better jobs and livelihoods. The difference that has happened this year is earlier it used to be more towards limited resources. So a trainer from an organization could just train only a couple of people, a batch of 40 or 30, whatever it used to be. But this pandemic and the moving to an online platform, etc., completely changed the scale of the game, where you were able to skill more and more people, right? So that was one major shift that happened in partnerships. Second major shift in partnerships was earlier, if you looked at someone doing a session for you, it was limited in terms of geography also. But here we were now looking at how a partner could reach out to even the districts. One of our focus in the state is how do you reach out to the districts, the 33 districts that are there, especially the rural and the districts which are far and beyond. How do you reach over there and ensure that similar kind of opportunities that are being provided in Hyderabad are provided to them? And that's where I think the key difference happened during this pandemic, where you could get best of the resources. For example, faculty, when we were doing trainings for the faculty members from moving from a teacher to a facilitator, we actually got in a professor from Macquarie University who was in Dubai at that time to conduct sessions for our faculty members. So these are the things where you could collaborate with people all across the globe itself, which was a different kind of collaboration, which would never happen in typical traditional the thing. So the coronization, if I'm permitted to use that word, of the entire ecosystem of skilling, training, development actually saw a sea change in these areas. Now, something quite close to our heart is when we were looking at how do we actually, because if you look at the large organization, about 1.2 crore jobs are there. If you look at MSMEs, about 11.27 crore jobs are there. But what is more important was helping people understand about entrepreneurship also. And TASK has got a mandate of creating an entrepreneurial mindset. And that is where we collaborated with Herald High, and rest is history. We wanted to come up with a program where we could reach out to the district, the rural youth itself, and not put them into an entrepreneurship development program right from day one, because that would have been futile. So what we did was collaborate with Herald High, work very close together with the entire team at HHH, be it Anusha or Pankaj or the various faculty members, etc. And I think what we were able to kick off was a unique thing, where about 7,000 plus people benefited from this program, in the rural districts of Telangana. This kind of collaboration would not have been possible. I think for collaboration also, what needs to be understood is that you should have clarity of thoughts. Second is you should be working towards the same objective and in the same direction, right? That is what is most important for collaboration. People do collaborate, which is just signing an MOU, and most of the MOUs don't work, right? Coming from a government perspective, for us, making this program happen along with you, where a typical government organization and the way it takes time to churn the ocean, if I'm permitted to call it, and the way we were able to roll this out was completely different. I think we looked at each other's strengths. We were able to supplement each other and then take this program forward. Now, in fact, about some 30 ideas, and these are all social, and if you permit me, with my limited Telugu, I can talk about this program called IFOTS, which is Innovating for Telangana, which I'm talking about, was essentially on social and rural innovation. And the program was running with the punchline, which said, Samajika Avishkarnalu, Sarlemaina Jivitanki, which essentially means social innovation for simplifying lives. And that is exactly what this program was supposed to do. Right now, it has reached a stage where about 200 odd of these students are going in for mentor, and they are undergoing mentorships, and then we will see how we can move them to a pre-incubation stage. So from that perspective, I think this is an example that I would like to talk about when we talk about collaboration. And kudos to the entire Head High team, the way they worked with us, along with the task team. We underwent all these problems, the challenges. How do these people see the videos? What do we do? Everything else. And today, if you look at it, a lot of people are talking about this program in the government circles and other circles here in Hyderabad. So in a nutshell, I think since we had planned to go far, we walked the path together.
Wonderful. Shrikant, I love the way you brought together bridging the digital divide, the rural-urban divide, as well as the aspirations divide. I mean, I interacted myself with a lot of the rural entrepreneurs, and they were thrilled that this is the first time that we're getting an opportunity even to experience and learn about these things. I saw the quality workshops that we put together with Professor Anil Gupta, with R.A. Mashelkar. I mean, it's rare for these youths to interact with such people.
Correct. No, absolutely. In fact, be the session, as part of the conference with the Krishnamachari Shrikant, the former Indian captain, with which you anchored, or Kiran Karnik, or getting people like, all the various speakers that we had right from across the globe, including Jayesh Shah and others.
Yeah. It improves the whole, terrific. Thank you. I mean, you're setting a new standard and benchmarks for how departments should operate. So kudos, and we're delighted to work with you. With this, love to bring in Subhashji to kind of provide us the perspective. He is, of course, not a stranger to the development world. He's been very deeply enmeshed with education, and of course, the former Chief Secretary of Karnataka, looking at the entire spectrum of development. And he was also recently the IRDA chairman, who looked very strongly at how do you bring rural into the whole the financing and the micro insurance space. So, sir, love to get your reflections on the conversations and your own, words of wisdom to us as we shape our future together.
Thank you very much, Madan, and very good afternoon to all of you. I'm really delighted to hear the youth from various parts of Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Kerala, and all the panelists. I think very rich deliberations we have heard. And of course, just before this, I was looking after insurance, which is not so much treated as a developmental subject, but a financial sector subject. But I would say this much, that during this pandemic, we also found that it would be possible to help the poorest of the poor through any activity that we are doing, because after all, we are all single humanity, and I am sure that all of you would have experienced that everybody's level of empathy for others has gone up due to this pandemic, which is at least this is an opportunity that we must exploit when we deal with kind of poverty and hunger and social deprivation in the future. In fact, Amartya Sen has defined poverty as deprivation of capabilities. And I think I have seen that you are also using this kind of a definition while designing your projects all around the country. And You are working in the most backward districts, and you have brought together, people from the corporate sector, from the developmental agencies, and various people who are interested in this. So this is something which is good, because partnership is also extremely important in achieving anything. In fact, this Olympic motto, they have changed it from Altius, Citius, Altius, and Fortius to, they have added another word, communis. That is faster, higher, stronger, and together. I think this is a realization which will hold us in good state for the future. Our country, always we say that it can gain from the demographic dividend, because based on the kind of average age of our people, this is a young country in that sense, that a large number of young people we have, and the ratio of dependent people to the total working population is much lower as compared to the developed countries. So this is a great advantage. And another development that we must be looking at, that earlier people used to say that there is huge unemployment problem, but right now that perception is not that there is huge unemployment, but there is a huge mismatch of skill demand and skill supply. So how to restructure our, the employment opportunities and the employability of the people, so that we can engage our working population in productive ways, so they earn income, and they can the poverty can be reduced. At the same time, the economy also can improve, because we will get the people, the capacity that we require for developing the economy. And that is, I think, the crux of what we should look at in the future. So what you people are doing in the villages, you are, of course, yours is an empowerment approach, where you are building the confidence of the youth, because there is some kind of a despondency for a large percentage of youth, because they do not know what future they have. So how to make them confident, how to make them kind of learn skills which would be useful for them. Similarly, the skill that they learn today may not be required for all the time to come. The earlier generations, so when people get into a job, they remain in that same job till they are no longer capable of working. That no longer holds good. So again, we have to empower these people to learn how to reskill oneself. And I think that is in your empowerment process, that is extremely important. The other one is, how to enable them to get into kind of a productive life. So it could be wage employment, it could be kind of employment in organized sector, it could be even entrepreneurship and self-employment. So these are various ways open, and I feel that what you have been doing, and what I heard from some of the kind of a girl who thought that she would not be able to go anywhere, and all, she is now feeling happy that she has got something, and probably she will do even much better than what she is today, through kind of learning and developing new capabilities. So similar thing, how to do in the villages. I think you are doing a right job. I wish that more such organizations actually spread out to villages and on the backward areas of the towns throughout the country to do this job, so that this kind of empowerment and enablement takes place. And in fact, in this, the private sector, the government, the kind of NGOs, they all have to work together, and the village community. So then I think there will be some, and our some sustainable development goals. There are 17 goals which the United Nations has, all the countries in the have adopted to United Nations. The first goal is eradication of poverty, and there are other goals which are also related to eradication of poverty, which is the health for all, education for all, skill development, water improvement of water supply, improvement of habitation. All these are connected, because poverty is not only lack of income. Poverty is has a multi-dimensional kind of context, and so the I think this is a very kind of a noble cause for which you have been working, and through the CSR, many of the private sector companies also are contributing to this cause. What is extremely important also, that when you do this job, at the same time, as an entry point activities, our first physical need is that hunger should be eradicated. We need food. After that, the next level of need is that we should remain healthy, because then only we can be productive. So we have seen the problems that the health sector faced during the pandemic, and we are still not out of it. So that should impel us to improve our health system, particularly the community health system. So here, how all of us can collaborate so that we can create a better health system for the entire country. Then the next step is education, because gone are the days when illiterate wage employment will be able to fulfill the requirement for employment and of the economy. And now, with introduction of technology, and we need kind of educated and skilled manpower. That's why I think the minimum that we require is that we must have every child in the country should at least complete the school education stage, if not more. So this is something, of course, the right to education is up to class 8, but then this needs to be stepped up to class 10 and eventually up to class 12, which would also include vocational or skill education. So then only we can empower these youth to participate meaningfully in our kind of national activities. These are also issues which, when you operate in the village, I think if these are tied up, that will create more meaningful background for the youth to be engaged. Thereafter, I would say that simply empowering them and leaving them there may not be enough, because you can never empower them fully. There is always an opportunity for further empowerment, for further fulfillment. So after improving their capability to some extent, we must also create a situation for them so that they can remain gainfully employed in whichever way, whether they are self-employed or through kind of employment in organizations. So there some hand-holding is definitely necessary. And I'm sure you are doing that. If that is done carefully, and I would suggest that when you are doing this kind of capacity building training programs, bring some of the youth who have been successful through these programs and make them to interact with the people who are freshly undergoing training, because that will give them confidence that there are others who have done it, so we can also do it. Simply theoretically teaching them will not be enough, because that will not improve their confidence. So this is extremely important. Then next step is mentoring, because once they have completed their training programs and all, and once you have helped them to get into some economic or productive activity, thereafter, whether they remain there, because the human mind is fickle, not only kind of the youth from the villages, but even the best educated people also sometimes do not stick to things. So, and we need motivation for them to continue. That's why this mentoring, and if they are not fitting properly into the job where they have gone, how to kind of reskill them and put them to something which they will enjoy and they will fit into. That is extremely important, and I think it should be done for at least 1 year, if not more, perhaps a little more. And now that we have this facility of mobile phone and connectivity, probably after that also some engagement would be extremely important. So, and I think this will now it can be can be done in a very cost-effective way, and we should make use of the IT systems in which India is a leader in the world. So, and that too a very cost-effective IT systems which can be used to improve access and to improve equity and quality. All this, and particularly the mobile phone, which is not very expensive, but and it is there with everybody. Even the skill development programs, once it is done, then the learning is a lifetime process. It is not one-time learning, but the same people whom you have trained, I think it will be possible to provide modules which they can even go through on their mobile phone screens and all that, smartphones. So but there is immense possibility to improve the lot of these people, and I think the people, the companies which would be providing the CSR facilities also, they can also remain in touch with the kind of youth they have who have been trained using their funds, and they will also feel happy and satisfied that they have contributed to improving the lot of the poor rural people, and that is how I think we will derive some satisfaction. And it is not of course in business people do compete, but rather than competition, cooperating to get some of the difficult things to do, I think there lies greater satisfaction. And this pandemic has taught us that we should cooperate. In fact, in my insurance sector, when the pandemic started, the first thing that I did was to frequently conduct meetings of the CEOs of insurance companies to kind of inculcate some kind of a feeling that we must do something which is needed, which is the need of the hour. And I think that was much appreciated later, because kind of instead of a competition, they had cooperation. The best practices they learned how to kind of through digital platform, how to interact with the clients, the policyholders, how to remain engaged. how to make the agents and the brokers to also interact with the policyholders using the mobile platform. All this was possible in a very short time. And I told them that, of course, there was a kind of general feeling that because of this lockdown, etc., the economy is very bad, so everybody will suffer very badly. But then I told them that your job is protection, and we need more protection during the pandemic rather than any other time. So people need protection. So because of that, in fact, the health insurance, which was at number 3 in the list of priorities. First one was, of course, the motor vehicle insurance and all. Health insurance came to number 1 priority as the year progressed. And then we, in fact, initially there was some doubt about whether corona would be covered under the normal health insurance, because that is not listed as one of the diseases anywhere. And in some other countries, they did not actually allow corona treatment as part of the health insurance. But to preempt them, we, in the regulatory authority, we announced right at the beginning in the month of February 2020 that unless it is specifically excluded, it will be included as one of the diseases, because every disease is not listed. So that actually helped in, we didn't have any controversy on this issue at least, whereas in many other countries there was a lot of controversy about this, and people went to the court. So this is one thing. Then we also, looking at the need of the hour, we introduced one standard product called Corona Kavach, and we made it mandatory that every insurance company will offer that product. Initially, they were very apprehensive that it will be very difficult, and naturally, nobody wants to take any risk. But then I told them that insurance companies, if you don't take risk, then who else will take the risk? You are there to mitigate the risk. So, when the need comes, then you should not back out. So then, this is how I think we have to now motivate, whether it is government, whether it is private sector, whether it is the NGOs, whatever we are doing, if we are convinced that we are doing it with a purpose, with a good objective, I think people will come forward. So I think, Madan, you and your team have been doing this, and I congratulate you. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to be here. And I think I learned more about your organization today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Subhashji, for painting your dreams. I love what you said. I mean, it's only also appropriate that we are doing this on the launch of Olympics. And they couldn't have said it better of CITES, Altius, Fortius communities together, which is the theme of today's conversation itself. I know we've the fantastic thoughts and insights shared by each one of you. Time has just flown by, and I was just looking at it and said, oh my God, it's already 4:45, 4:50. We were scheduled to end this at 5. I will seek your indulgence for another 10 minutes more. But with this, I'm also realizing that this is not a one-off conversation. Maybe this is a conversation we must have very often, perhaps once in 3 months, 4 months, to bring a bunch of partners when we have introduced our work. My request to each one of you is, let us create a forum where we can come spend a couple of hours together on a Saturday afternoon like this, where we can discuss, what can Anish do with Vivek? What can Vivek do with Srikanth? What can Srikanth do with Lalita? Right? And that's the kind of a collaborative network if we can foster. We'll have a lot more meaningful conversations. It's not about institutions. I think it is primarily about individuals. And as individuals, what can we bring and how can we bring our institutions together? So with that, I just want to call this discussion to a close with the thing to our audience that we were not able to get in any discussions, conversations at any deeper level. But it gives me an idea that we should go deeper over the next few months and try and organize more conversations on this. With this, I would thank each one of our panelists for being with us, for sharing your thoughts. I made copious notes in terms of various points that we can go and collaborate on. And I will reach out to each one of you. Before I hand it over to Pankaj to kind of formally release the report in a few minutes and draw the session to a close, I also want to bring in another key collaborator of ours, Apresh. Apresh is a part of the India CSR network. And Apresh has been super supportive, and we've been cooking up a lot of ideas together. So Apresh, if you can just have a minute of your thoughts before I hand it over to Pankaj.
Thanks, Madan. Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
We are way past 5 p.m. So I'll just take you back to our 11th CSR Leadership Summit when, your session had one key takeaway: ego and logo syndrome, holding back the collaboration.
Correct.
Okay. We have seen 7 years of companies amendment, and we have not seen a visible outcome of a collective CSR spend. So I guess more and more collaborations are needed, and who else we can look up to than you, who have actually catalyzed multiple collaboratives like Yuva and Game and then COVID collective, I guess. So yeah, we at India CSR would love to collaborate with you on any collaborative that you are going to have, and because collaboration is the key, as the saying goes, Sanghe Shakti Kalau Yuge. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. That was a very apt summary, Apresh, and we look forward to working with the India CSR and the community that you built there. Thank you. Without further ado, I would give it to Pankaj. Pankaj has been the Pankaj and team, Anusha, Parul, Murli, everybody. Pankaj is the leader of our team at Hedeldai, and it's on his able shoulder that we've been able to execute some stupendous things over the last many years. So Pankaj, over to you.
Right. Thanks, Madan. You're being very generous. I think nothing happens without the group we have here and the team. So it's never a solo effort, as I always say. Right. So quick thoughts before we go on to the annual report. Thanks to all the panelists. Some wonderful thoughts. Just sharing a couple of thoughts before we move on to the annual report on what the pandemic meant for us. So, sometimes it looks as if the epicenter of this crisis is urban, but having worked across 100 districts, about 25% of them aspirational, the impact on rural communities has been humongous. All right, over the years, what I've come to understand, what the team has come to understand, and especially our program design team, the true narrative of the pandemic hasn't been about the virus. Rather, it's been about the fault lines of inequity, accessibility, and economic inequality. So we internally come up with this catchphrases. So we don't think there's going to be a post-pandemic world. Rather, it's going to be a post-vaccine world. And we can't really forget what the pandemic has done. The hurt is there, the pain is still there. The events that transpired over the past year cannot be wiped out from the communities we work with. So what we have been doing is we address poverty, and that's a very simple word, but it does not show itself in any one way. It shows itself in multiple ways. And over the past year, we have addressed many more causes and consequences of poverty. And what we have come to understand is, somewhere I read, poverty is like water. It fills in the crevice and then sort of expands it. You give it a crevice, and all these fault lines has even become larger. So I think pandemic, I'm not sure. All right, there's going to be a lot of talk. We'll talk about herd immunity. I wish we had herd immunity for poverty, and that's a philosophical goal we have for ourselves this year. All right, so what we talk about in the annual report is all our interventions we have done to address poverty, the causes and consequences. We had some successes, we had some failures, but bottom line, we have had lots of learnings. All right, so if I could, we'll be sending this out to you in either case, and would appreciate any feedback you may have to better our efforts. So Toshi, if you quickly share the annual report, we'll have a quick glance through it. Madan has stolen a bit of the thunder, so I'll run through some of the pages. So these are actual pictures of us, of our centers, and I think the theme standing together came across in the middle of last year because we felt that we need to do much more, and we sort of built upon this. I think on the impact side, we brought in over $1 million of income to 100 women. All right, we moved the needle of about 1,000 families from $1.2 per day to 4.6. So these are not very large numbers, but it shows what is capable when we collaborate together. And this was 1 year where Heidelberg moved sort of grassroots implementation to being a convener and a collaborator. I think what we learned, that the key takeaway this year is we can do so more together. And in fact, while some not been white, so quickly glancing through the proposal, you could read when we mail it out to you. Toshi, if you could run through the other pages and come to the road ahead. So in terms of the road ahead, we want to have more place-based initiatives to address youth, families, and communities at large. Another focus is to create more hyperlocal opportunities, both jobs and entrepreneurship. We are working very closely with UNDP, UNICEF, and the government of Karnataka to work on more hyperlocal and jobs and entrepreneurship. One key intervention we are working on is urban slums this year. This is becoming a core focus area of our poverty alleviation work. HSBC has been a very valuable partner in driving the focus around this. But I think urban slums is, the informal communities around urban slums is also becoming a huge point where we need to sort of, carry on our work. So all in all, it's a year where we have to come together, and I'll leave you with the thought, I'm not sure about the pandemic, but post-vaccine world is a sort of a truism. And another thing we are doing here is involving our partners in a lot of our program design. So HSBC has very graciously been come forward to run a mentoring program for rural entrepreneurs. So we have expanded the scope of our program design to include our partners. So we come up with much more lasting solutions and designs. So that's going to be the theme forward, standing together and moving forward together. And we should certainly thank you all for your time. And I'll hand over to Anusha here to sort of give us the closing remarks and sort of give us the vote of thanks. Thanks all. Thanks to you.
Thanks, Pankaj. Thanks a lot, everybody. It's been wonderful to hear all the stories, reflections, and perspectives from all the amazing people today. One thing that stood out for me was when Basavraj said, that I'm a trainer at the place that I was once a trainee, and that makes me so proud of myself. So as Madan rightly said, we call ourselves Heidelberg. As everything we do, we measure ourselves with this saying always. With this, I would like to say a big thank you to all our panelists and speakers who have shared their insights and ideas for the year that awaits more impact. It was a great discussion filled with passion and lots of possibilities for sure. I think what today's gathering and conversations have shown us is that there's so much more that is possible with commitment and collaboration. So with this, I would like to take this opportunity to thank India CSR for being a part of this event with us, our donors and livelihood partners who have supported our work across the country, and all our terrific volunteers, coaches, and change makers who have contributed their time and expertise to further our mission. I must also thank our incredible operations team of trainers, community coordinators, career coaches, mobilizers, and several field members for their untiring efforts throughout this year. Our team is definitely the driving force behind all our work and results that we've been able to achieve on the ground. Lastly, we want to thank our big-hearted communities and youth who have given us this opportunity to stand with them with our head held high. And lastly, I also want to thank each one of you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us and for being a part of this amazing journey. I wouldn't say that this brings us to the end of this event. I would rather say this brings us to the start of another wonderful year of standing together. With this, I would close the session. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful being on this panel. Thanks. Bye.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.